Hello everybody, this is Howard the Teaserking coming to you with week 3 of the NFL. It's already week 3. We waited so long for week 1 and now it's week 3. Tremendous week last week. I don't know what to say about the Minnesota game. I gave it, obviously, assuming Bradford was playing. At the time he was listed probable. Thursday he was listed probable, Friday, and even Saturday. And I don't understand that if he couldn't go, and he really didn't even try, how he was probable unless it just something happened to him Sunday morning. You know, he woke up and all of a sudden his knee stiffened up. So I find that a little shady. He actually screwed his own team because the backup had no chance to really practice. So I'm really scratching my head on that. If Bradford plays Minnesota, it's a very tight game. They almost covered anyway. If they don't kick a field goal at the end, it would have been 24-9, and you got 15.5 in a teaser, and you got a W. So even without Bradford, they almost did it. But again, when I'm doing this, you've got to understand. If I give you a game now, you know, if I give you New England, I'm assuming Brady's playing, and then Brady on Sunday isn't playing. You've got to understand not to play the game. If you've already made your bet, then all I can say is to go ahead and bet the other team. So in this case, you would have teased Pittsburgh with Baltimore to sort of, Baltimore was my lock, but you don't know it here. You know it when you purchase. So I've given you Baltimore, Minnesota last week, and all of a sudden Bradford's out, and all of a sudden the line jumps. Then play Baltimore with Pittsburgh, because you can't play it with Minnesota. But if you've already, it's only if you've already made the bet. Some people bet it early. Some people wait till Sunday to bet them. So if you're going to bet and then you hear Bradford's out, you got to assume, well, Howard's telling you as if Bradford's playing. Or I would tell you, I think there was one video I did, it was based on the hurricane. So I'm trying to, tell you to wait on it. But so I apologize there, but there's nothing I could do. I can't. I like to get these videos out early so you have a chance to watch them. You have a chance to ask questions on emails. You have a chance to get the bets in early if you need to, or late if you need to. So I looked at that as almost a fixed game. I mean, it had all the makings of it just smelled like a fix. Sort of like they're holding Bradford's wife at gunpoint saying, you ain't playing. And all of a sudden his knee's bothering him Sunday. He didn't even try to warm up. He threw 3 or 4 passes. Okay, you know you can't walk before you go out on the field, so what are you doing? And why are you telling everybody Sunday morning as opposed to Thursday or Friday? He should have been questionable, or he was fine, and then all of a sudden he wakes up stiff Sunday morning. But I saw it go questionable Saturday night, and then I kept watching the line. The line didn't move, and I kept watching like fantasy football or whatever to see, are they saying not to play Bradford? And until Sunday morning, I had no idea. So it sounded like a fix to me, where a lot of heavy action went on Pittsburgh, driving the spread from 7 to 9.5, and then Pitt wins and the quarterback's out. That sounds a little too phony for me. I don't know what I buy with the injury. Either he wasn't injured at all, or he was injured, but then why would he screw his own team unless it was a fix? Because then the backup, and I'm drawing a blank on the backup. I know he played for Houston, but I can't think of it. But anyway, because he didn't have a chance. So he's assuming that Bradford's playing on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So that really makes it sound like a fix to me. That's how you would fix a game, right? You don't prepare the backup. You say you're playing, and then an hour before game time, the line jumps 2.5, and you don't play. And since you're out, It's either that or you throw 4 interceptions. Oops. So instead of throwing the 4 interceptions, he goes and just screws his own team and says, "Oh, I can't play Sunday at 10 o'clock in the morning." All right, anyway, so please be careful. If I give you games, I'm assuming, unless I make a statement in my video, I'm assuming that Brady's healthy if I give you New England, or Derek Carr's healthy if I give you Oakland. And if all of a sudden Sunday morning we all wake up and they're not playing and the line jumps and you've already made the bet, then just reverse, play the same teaser but reverse the team to counter the bet. I mean, that's all I can say, unless it's like, let's say I'd given you the night game. It was Atlanta Green Bay, which was my lock. So let's say I gave you that, and then all of a sudden Rodgers, well, let's say I gave you Green Bay, and all of a sudden Rodgers isn't playing, but I gave it to you with Baltimore. So now you got Baltimore, Green Bay, Rodgers isn't playing. You've won the Baltimore part of it. Now go ahead and play Atlanta minus the 2, at least for the amount that you have open in the teaser, and that'll offset. So if they're not the same time, you can offset it. In this case, Minnesota and Baltimore were the same time. But again, I apologize. Had a huge pro week, 9-1. The only loser I had really was Jacksonville. Obviously, Minnesota. Once you get the news, I just pulled off the game. But once I post it, once I do the video, I can't do anything about it. But so I kind of got off of it. But I can't. I don't know what to do with it. Once it's posted, I can't. Okay, I got to run a video Sunday morning. So basically, just realize that. Go to the site and send me an email. Hey, what do I do? So I'm trying to tell you that. But that's a fluke. I've not seen that in all my years. I very rarely have ever seen where the quarterback is fine until Sunday, 2 hours before kickoff, and he pimps his own team and his own backup and everything else. So very, very strange, very smelly what happened there. Okay, so let's go to this week, week 3. I love the overs when you got 2 stud quarterbacks, Breeze and Brady going, Rodgers and Ryan going. And I love the unders. I had the under in the Lion game. Good defensive team against the Giants, good defensive team. And the under in the Houston game where Cincinnati, neither team has a quarterback. Houston's got a great defense. Houston's a perfect under team. Great defense, no quarterback. Cincinnati has a quarterback, but they're not doing anything. So that was an under game. I had Seattle under with the 49ers. Seattle's a great under team, great defense. They can't pass block. They can't score a lot. Frisco's not going to score on Seattle with their quarterback. Seattle's an under team. So I had great matchups for the over-unders. Last week was great. And I felt better because week 1 was really tough because the teams don't play the week before. They barely play their player. I don't know if that's a union thing, or the player association, or the coaches are all just have their head up their asses and don't play them in week 4. I'm not sure what it is, but they need to play these guys at least 3 quarters in week 4. You can't worry about. You're getting more players injured because they're out of shape because they haven't played in 2 or 3 weeks. And then look at all the injuries that are happening because Gronk hits a groin. Well, again, they're not in football shape. You can't just go play 4 quarters when you haven't played 4 quarters in 8 months since last January or December. So now that we have a better feel of it, we got a better thing. So my first game is going to be Baltimore laying 4 to Jacksonville. Take Baltimore plus 2. Baltimore is very strong in a teaser. Jacksonville is extremely weak in a teaser. Jacksonville's a play against team. What I mean by that is Baltimore is laying 4. So if you take Baltimore plus 2, you're going to win 90% of the time against Jacksonville, because Jacksonville is a terrible team. And if so when I say play against Baltimore -4, you would take Jacksonville +10. So if you go against Jacksonville, you're 90%. So that's what I mean by play against, because you can go either way with the teaser. Baltimore much stronger, better offense, better defense. Blake Bortles is terrible. I've said that in several videos, and basically I thought it was a terrible draft pick. You can look at my drafts. I'm not saying it now. I said it back when on the draft. I have draft videos for the last couple of years. I said Goff would be terrible, and I said Derek Carr would be the best quarterback, and I think Connor Cook will be a good quarterback. Problem is he's at Oakland. He needs to go to a team like Houston, where they need a quarterback, or Jacksonville, or Miami, or any of these teams. So anyway, Baltimore is very tough in a teaser, and Jacksonville is very weak in a teaser. So I like the combination. I have a strong team in a teaser against a weak team, a team that you go against in a teaser. I don't like the games in London. I'd much rather have it, since it's on the road, in Jacksonville, where they don't have to travel. It just screws them up. So they'll be screwed up next week. They'll get a bye. Like they really want a bye in week 4. Baltimore's on a roll, just playing really good defense, and Flacco's playing well, and they're moving the ball. So that's the first game. Take Baltimore. And the second game is going to be Kansas City laying 3 to San Diego. Huge trend here for Kansas City. They're 5-1 as the favorite. Kansas City and the favorite are 4-1 the last 5 in San Diego. And the Kansas City is a road favorite, is 15-1 the last 3 or 4 years. San Diego, they're a good home dog throughout the years, but in the series, Kansas City owns them. Like I said, they're the favorite in the series, 5-1, and KC, and the favorite, 4-1. So the last 5 in San Diego, KC's 4-1. KC's huge in a teaser, about 90%. San Diego is huge bet against in a teaser. They should have won last week. They've had terrible kickers, San Diego. I don't get what's going on with them. But they're a very, weak team. It's just Kansas City's got too much right now. I like their defense against Rivers. This is just a game, Now, had the game been San Diego favored, then this is a lock, Kansas City. Had the game been in Kansas City, it's almost a lock, Kansas City. So it's just the point spread determines the lock. If San Diego is a 3-point favorite, the lock would be Kansas City and 9. So that's what makes the locks a lot of times, is the point spread. So that's what I look for. Those two games, over-unders. There's a few that I'm curious about. The Detroit-Atlanta game, I would normally go over with Stafford and Ryan, but Detroit's got a really good defense. And they were an under team last year because they didn't score a lot, but their defense was really good. So I'm a little confused in this game. Atlanta will put up their 25-30. I don't know what Detroit does. They should be in the 20. This should be an over game, but with Detroit's defense, it's like putting Minnesota in an over game. You just don't do it, or Houston. Detroit's similar. They really can't run the ball. Yeah, they had a decent Monday night, but if they don't get the punt return, they only score 17 points. So, I don't know. Again, if Detroit was a 3-point favorite, this would be a lock, Atlanta at 9. So I'm getting the wrong favorites here, or I'd really have a lot of locks this week. So I'll have probably I'll probably have at least one lock in the pro with one lock in the college. Um, I don't know. It's always a good board, but I got my picks. Still looking for line changes. I'm curious about Seattle. Normally, Seattle would be a lock getting 8.5, but I'm gonna be careful because they can't seem to get any points with their great defense. So, I'm watching. Don't listen to these announcers and all these radio and TV guys. They don't know what they're talking about. I'm hearing some guy say, "Oh, they should sit Andrew Luck because if Andrew Luck's playing, they're 2-0. They beat Arizona, they beat the Rams, and they killed Cleveland. So you can't." I hear that kind of crap. Oh, let's sit out Luck for the year. What is that? Indy has bad management. They have a bad GM. You can't pick players. I mean, you could get free. I could win with the team a bunch of free agents because I could get an offensive line from USC, Oklahoma, Nebraska that aren't drafted, and my defense, can be anywhere. Grab guys from LSU and Clemson, Florida State, Miami, and then just run the ball and play defense, and I could win with free agents. So basically, it's just bad GM, but they give a lot of fault. Like here, Philadelphia and the Giants, they're saying how bad oh my God, they're going to have to play Philly with a bad offensive line, and the spread jumps from 3.5 to 6, and I'm like, I'm not. You can't listen to that. I personally think that they're all paid by the casinos. That if they need money on a certain team, they start talking up that team. I think it's especially with this Kirk Herbstreit in college. I think they do it dramatically. Oh, I like this team on the upset, and you're like, really? And then the line moves, and then Vegas is happy because they move the line. So be very, very careful about these. These guys don't understand gambling. They don't understand point spreads. So you've got to be very careful when you listen to these guys. They're usually picking the games even, not with a point spread, and usually what Vegas wants them to say. So be very careful there. I was shocked. I lock Washington State, and the spread jumps from like 21 down to like 17. And I'm trying to think, why would anybody take Oregon State in the game, right? So I've locked Washington State based on Oregon State stinks. Leach, the coach at Washington State, is going to score a lot. They got Luke Falk, and if he's hurt, they got a good backup. They're going to score 50 points, which they do. Who would bet Oregon State in the game? Enough to drive the line from 21 to 17. Who in their right mind would be that stupid to put their money on Oregon State? It's just... So when you start watching the lines move, you got to be very careful not to follow them, because I don't know who in their right mind obviously has no clue what they're doing. Why would you bet Oregon State to cover against Washington State when they're losing to Minnesota by 50 points? The week one I had Navy big against Florida Atlantic, and the line's 11. It goes down to 8.5. I would have locked Navy at that point, but that was like just before the game. Who's betting on Florida Atlantic? Why would you bet Florida Atlantic over the Navy? I mean, it's. I don't get. It's not. They don't obviously have a clue what they're doing in picking football games, because you're basing it on matchups. I'm giving you here Baltimore, Jacksonville. Bortles stinks. Baltimore's defense is going to shut them down. In a teaser, Baltimore is very strong. Jacksonville is very weak. You go against them, especially on the road. Jacksonville's a road dog. It's at least 90%. It's like 21-2. They got killed at home by Tennessee. They had a fluke against Houston. They blitzed them, and Houston had Tom Savage, and Houston's coach was totally unprepared. Houston goes ahead and beats Cincinnati, so there you go. Anyway, so Jacksonville gets a win, but they're still. I don't like Fournette. I thought he was really good a couple years ago. He was injured all last year. He showed no heart. Sits out the bowl game. Sat out half the games. He's just after money. He's not a football player. He won't do anything here, especially with Bortles. They're just going to key on him, and in the NFL, if they key on you, you're not going to do anything. So I just don't see it, but there you go. So just follow that. So again, we're taking Baltimore -4 to +2. Taking Kansas City from -3 to +3. Kansas City's line should be -7, and Baltimore's line should be -7. For whatever reason, people think you can't cross 0 in a teaser. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. It makes no sense. I think it's a mathematical thing. If you understand the line, as I just said, Kansas City is at least 7 points better than San Diego. Kansas City owns San Diego. They beat them all the time. They match up very well with their quick blitzing defense. And good luck. San Diego never has a defense. Is not going to stop Kansas City. So with all that going that Kansas City plays it, this line should be at least 6 or 7. Is only 3. So now I got +3. So if they lose by a field goal, it's a push. They don't even have to win the game. They can lose by 1 or 2. San Diego couldn't beat a weak Miami team with Cutler. And, okay, they should have won with the missed kick. They would have won by 2. But I don't have to lay a point here. I got the much better team, and I don't have to lay a point. And it doesn't matter where the game's at. I mean, the game's in L.A., and there's nobody showing up. So I don't, there'll be more Kansas City fans there in San Diego. And the same thing with Baltimore, Jacksonville. This game should be a 7-point spread on a neutral field. In Jacksonville, maybe it'd be a 3, but in London, it should be a 7. All you got to do is have Baltimore win the game. I mean, so whoever said that has no clue how to handicap. They're just using math, and I'll cross it all. I mean, theoretically, you just take Kansas City, lay the 3, but this way they don't even have to win. But if they do win it all, you got a W. So again, I'm looking at the matchup. KC owns San Diego. Jacksonville is a lousy road dog, over 90%. Somewhere 21, 22 out of and 2 the last 3 or 4 years. Baltimore, they're not a great road favorite, but they're great in a teaser lately. So there you go. Baltimore +2, KC +3. Again, if you want to play 5-team teasers, 6-team teasers with me, just buy the advisory package, or just buy the locks, or buy the package. Then we can play 4 or 5-team teasers, and I'll give you advice on games. So anyway, have a great weekend. Good luck, everybody. www.teaserking.com. On a roll. Very, very hot last week, and should be going forward. Should be very hot going forward now that I can see what the teams are really like in week 2 versus week 1, where they don't play in week 4, the exhibition, and you're clueless who they are. So good luck, everybody. Again, www.teaserking.com. Thank you very much. Have a nice night.